Hi, this is Ms. Bahak. Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast, where you can get fresh ideas for your training, nutrition, and lifestyle to immediately put to use. Listen in with Marcus Philly, the creator of functional bodybuilding, and myself.
Hi, I'm Marcus Philly. We're broadcasting from Revival Strength in San Rafael, California.
We'll be talking about avoiding burnout, keeping your passion alive for training, and fueling your body and mind so you can look good, move well now, and for years to come. Food is an investment of your time that pays dividends in how your body feels and performs. If there's something in your diet you suspect is stressing your system, learn how to experiment with eliminating categories of food for a time period. Then we'll hit 3 ways to keep your wallet happy and your food quality high. Sweet. Okay.
I gave Gita an awkward thumbs up.
This is going to be a good one because somebody asked me about this whole food elimination thing, which is how it was stored away in my phone. And it's a good question. It's like, okay, that topic, but then also this idea of eating on a budget, because I think that's like definitely a very real thing for a lot of people and something that can turn away people from eating healthier and eating better.
Yeah.
It's like, it can be expensive if you don't do it the right way, and we can break some of that down today.
Yeah, totally. Let's break it down.
All right.
Elimination station.
Well, starting with the elimination, this is one of those areas that it's like, here's what I've noticed is when you have like some of the basics that are dialed in, let's say like, okay, you're eating your veggies, you're eating your protein, adequate carbs, you're drinking water, you're sleeping well, like your diet is somewhat well-rounded compared to maybe just like super inconsistent and the rhythms are off. Anytime you do anything outside of the norm from that, you notice it much more immediately. So it's
Totally.
like, I can think of like a client who he's been on like a lower carb type of protocol for quite some time now because he responds to it really well. Like energy's through the roof, but his wife is completely different. And so for him, it's been like, before he never really noticed that until now. It's been like several months of doing this, and anytime now he goes outside of that and he has something that's super high carb or just like a donut or something, he immediately will feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of elimination, is that once you remove it from your body for long enough, consistently enough, then the reintroduction of it will actually expose how your body's truly responding to it. Now there's probably some. I'm thinking like, who are the critics or the skeptics out there that might say otherwise? I've actually heard people say that like if you don't have something for a long time, then your body will down-regulate potentially the enzymes or whatever the tools it needs, biochemically to digest and absorb. So when you reintroduce it, it's not prepared for it. Mm-hmm. But if you eat it consistently for a period of time, then then you'll get back to being okay with. I don't really. There's some truth to that, I'm sure, but I don't really believe that should stop people from going the route of trying elimination diets, right? Or trying to eliminate things that they're curious about the effects that it has on their body. For me, my first elimination, conscious elimination diet or approach that I took was when I was like 22. So a coach was like, hey, you gotta try cutting gluten out. And he told me, he's like, cut gluten out because I was having terrible seasonal allergies. I was getting crushed with like hay fever, right? And I was golfing. I was like a big golfer. So, in the summer months and the wind and it was dry, it's like I would just be miserable. And he's like, hey, if you cut gluten out, it can help improve your allergy symptoms. And then, you might find out maybe you're a little allergic to it, and that's why it's impacting your, allergies and keeping you in a hyper-inflamed state so that your body is, allergies is just your immune system reacting to like particles that are around. So I did that, and he was like, well, I'm like, well, how do I know when to stop, or he's like, well, just do it for 30 days, no gluten, and then on day 30 you're gonna like, you're gonna hit it hard. You're gonna have pancakes and whatever, right? So, a couple things I learned in the elimination portion. There's an opportunity to learn, what am I feeling? Does it feel better? Does it feel worse? Like, or what's happening? And then in the reintroduction phase, of course, there's something to be, paying attention to and aware of. And for me, I experienced, my allergies got better. I realized like I could substitute with plenty of other things, and I wasn't like missing, gluten. And then upon reintroduction, I got really bad constipation for like 3 days. Like I was backed up for days. Wow. And I was like, that's not normal. That was at the time like a big shift for me. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So I wouldn't say like ever since I've been 100% gluten-free, but that was pretty much the beginning of me being like, okay, gluten doesn't really sit well in my life. And, over time, as I experimented with longer periods of time off of it, I started to realize, my body composition is just generally better. Even while eating other starches, my body composition was better. And, I've kind of just found that when I do go back, and I haven't gone back on gluten in any like serious way in the past 6 years, minus one trip to Italy that I took with my wife, where we ate gluten for pretty much 10 days while we were gone, and I had some GI distress. We'll leave it at that.
That's hilarious. This idea of reintroduction, right? Like, what's your thought on hitting it really hard and then, or introducing it gradually and slowly? Because I feel like I've heard both, like saying that, well, make sure that when you do reintroduce it, you don't go crazy, or else you might experience something like that, which is like, right, GI distress or something where you're like super shocked at like, how did this happen? So have you, I don't know, I'm sure you've played with this in other areas too. What have you noticed in that sense?
Well, I think you gotta, what's the intent of this, right? Am I going off of something that for a specific purpose, for a short period of time, with the intent of bringing it back? Okay, then yeah, like reintroduce it slow. If you go off protein for 7 days on a protein deload, then on the first day back, don't eat a 32-ounce cowboy steak. That will, in one sitting, that'll hurt. Again, that's like the enzymes are not, your proteases in your, small intestine are not teed up, ready to digest that. So it's gonna hurt. Yeah. But if you're like trying to eliminate something because you have a hunch, or you want to determine whether it feels good or bad, and this is something you might want to remove long term, then I do subscribe to this kind of, remove it, like 100% remove it. No, like, well, I went from like eating it every day to eating it like once every few days. Like, that's not elimination. It's truly removing it for an extended period of time, like a 30-day, removal, and then hit it hard and bring it back in, even in just like this, to the same level that you were having it before, right? You had, bread at 2 meals a day, and you took it out for, a month, bring it back for 2 meals a day, and make sure you just, you get a good dose of it, because that'll actually allow you to, there won't be like misinformation like, oh, did that make me feel like, no, you'll know. Yeah. Okay, that made me feel fine. I don't feel anything different, or man, I have like cramps in my gut, or, I feel really puffy, or I was, gassy all day, or whatever.
You mentioned 2 different time periods there, right? Like, one was the 30-day from doing gluten. If it was protein deload, it's a little shorter. It's 7 days. What's kind of a rule of thumb for you, depending on maybe what it is you are eliminating? What's a good, sufficient time period that can allow you to see, like, okay, can I pick up on any changes that are happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that if it's something new to you, like you're going off of something for a period of time because you want to investigate how it makes you feel, I think longer is better, right? I think you need time to, heal, and then let's say you were eating, a lot of dairy, right? And you have this hunch that it's maybe not, your body's not responding well to it. So you take it out, and the first week your body just kind of gets back to feeling normal. It's just healing, And then the second week, okay, you're starting to like be able to have some awareness, like, oh, it's just feeling different, And then the third and the fourth week, you're like really kind of, okay, this is what life feels like without dairy, and I'm less mucusy. I'm more, I breathe better. I'm recovering faster from my workouts. I actually dropped a little belly fat. My weight went down, any of those things. But those aren't going to truly start to settle in until, week 3 and 4. And then in week 5, after a month, maybe you reintroduce it to see what the impact is. And oftentimes if people remove something that they had a hunch didn't feel good, they'll get to the 30-day or the 1 month mark, and they're just like, I'm not reintroducing this. Like I have enough evidence at this point to know that this isn't something I want to reintroduce because it didn't make me feel good before.
Or you're just too scared to.
It just doesn't matter enough to you to like get it back in.
Yeah.
The week-long things, this is kind of another area where elimination comes in, is that, something, let's say, there's a good example is like eggs. Eggs is a great source of fat and protein, and it's something that, people, it's a really easy go-to breakfast food. And in the strength conditioning world, like, people can eat eggs every day. You might ask somebody like, hey, what do you have for breakfast? Like, oh, I eat eggs and, a bowl of oatmeal and have that every day. How long you been having that? 5 years. Literally like no variation. So sometimes, and we recommend this, is eliminating, or removing, like a removal of something that you are exposed to all the time, regularly, that has a little bit of that's on the allergen potential list. Eggs are a potential allergen. Certain grains, gluten, dairy, and if you eat those things on a regular basis, removing them periodically for a week at a time, just allow your body to again heal a little bit and sort of reverse some of like the self-imposed allergies that we end up having. Meaning, if you've had eggs every day for the last 3 years of your life, you're actually probably a little bit allergic to it. And this is super common. People are doing more and more, allergen testing, where they go and they get a full panel and it tells them everything, in the food kingdom that they're allergic to. And then they like, oh, I was so surprised. Like, I'm allergic to chicken breast and eggs, of all things. I love those. I'm like, no. You're allergic to them because you love them and you ate them every day for the last 2 years, and that's why, Or like my, a family member who's had he ate chicken breast for lunch, like a chicken salad, like every day for maybe 20 years or something.
20 years?
No, I think like really a long time, Very routine person, and it became a problem, became problematic, where it's like you can't eat that if you want to heal your gut, and he ended up having, GI, problems. You can't eat that for like 6 months. We got to know none of that for a long time to heal.
Wow.
Right.
Okay, so there's that when we think about this idea of food elimination, right? And then now I feel like this kind of ties into this topic is the idea of nutrition kind of on a budget, right?
Yep.
And being able to maybe eliminate certain things, add certain things, and come up with something that feels like you can still eat healthy while you're on a budget.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are, before you can start really talking about like how you're going to eat on a budget, there needs to be an acknowledgement of the quality discussion around food and what is your tolerance for handling different levels of quality, right? A grass-fed ribeye steak, a prime cut of, corn-fed steak, a choice cut of corn-fed ribeye steak, and then, ground 80% beef. Those are like 4 different price points. Pretty huge difference for the amount that you would pay for a grass-fed steak ribeye per pound, maybe 20 to $30 per pound. You could find a similar, you could find a lesser cut of ground beef, 80% protein or 80% lean, for maybe like $3.99 a pound. So you're going to get 7 to 10 times or 7 to 9 times the amount of protein, or not protein, but like of animal, flesh for the same price. Delicious, right? I was like struggling to find the word there. I'm like, animal flesh. Now, like, there's advantages to being able to eat grass-fed meats over 80% lean, probably ground chuck, corn-fed, farm, factory farm raised cows that have been fed antibiotics, etc., whatever. So you have to sort of make kind of a determination for yourself, like where do you sit? Like, okay, I'm happy getting the, a cut of beef that is maybe a little leaner. Why leaner? Because, well, if it's poorly raised and it's fed a lot of junk, a lot of toxins that those animals might pick up get stored in their fat, right? So if you have like a really fatty, percentage of ground beef from like an animal that was raised in on a bad farm, or it was just bad practices, there's maybe a lot of toxins that are in there that you don't want to have in your body if you're going to be eating meat every day for 3 meals a day. So determine what that looks like for you. Once you determine where that line is for you, like, I'm going to shop at the premium grocery store only and then look for the best deals. I'm going to shop at the middle, of the road grocery store and shop for the, best deals. I'm going to go to the bargain, grocery store and search for the best deals. They're kind of tiered, groceries out there where you can find, tiered levels of quality products. So that's the first thing that came to mind. The second thing that came to mind is that eating quality food, eating on a budget means cooking your own food.
Yeah.
It's 100% cheaper, like within a certain quality level, right? Because don't tell me like, oh, well, if I cook, organic broccoli and, chicken breast and, sweet potatoes, that's more expensive than if I go to Jack in the Box. I'm like, yeah, but the quality, you're not even talking about the same quality. If you go to a fast food or even a restaurant that serves the similar quality to the sweet potato and the, what did I say, broccoli and whatever vegetable I said and chicken,
yeah,
right? Like, you're going to pay more for the same quality. So remember, we're on the same quality level. You always will pay more for eating at an establishment where they're preparing your food, they're serving you, there's convenience, all of that, right? It's just like when people go to the grocery store and they buy the pre-cut broccoli. Go and buy the broccoli stalks with the fronds on it and cut it yourself. You'll save money. Imagine that, And so eating on a budget means cooking for yourself and buying ingredients in their most raw form. Buy the potato. Don't go to the prepared food section and buy the roasted potatoes at Whole Foods. Go to the actual produce section and buy a bag of potatoes, right? The same thing with the prepared vegetables. Like, learn how to use a knife. Go buy veggies and cut them. Don't go to the aisle where there's pre-cut bell peppers. Come on, you can do that. Totally. And then, so was that one more point that I just made?
It's 2 total so far.
So we're at 2, right? Okay. And then the third is, get a clear sense of what your needs are and start to buy in bulk. Buying in bulk gets the prices to come down. We buy spices by the, pounds, like 5 pounds of the same spice for cheap. If you go to the store and you buy one of those little jars, those glass jars of, paprika, it's like $5. If you go onto some website and you buy 4 pounds of paprika, smoked paprika, in a bag that shows up in like a Ziploc bag, it's like $10. Holy smokes. Like, you just saved a ton of money by kind of thinking, okay, how can I get my bulk ingredients going?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I go to Costco. Costco's like, it's a $70 membership for the year. And we buy, bulk meat, produce that lasts us for a week at a time, multiple weeks. Any like canned goods that we might have, or condiments or other like things that are packaged when we buy there, the deals are so considerable that it makes it worth having that membership for sure. Because we're thinking ahead and we're like, okay, we're going to prepare. I'm going to use, olive oil, a lot of it over the next 6 months. So we buy, 2-gallon jugs of olive oil from Costco. That's pretty decent quality. Is it the best olive oil like that you could buy? Absolutely not. Is there better tasting, better quality olive oil out there? Sure. But it meets our quality level that we care about, and I can get it at a good price, and then I can use it, and it's going to last me for a long time, and the net is like cheaper for us as a household. So let's recap what those are. Determine your quality level. Start to prepare your own food. Cook for yourself. Buy in bulk. Those are kind of the big ones there. And then somewhere in there I meant to say it's about simplicity, right? If you wanna eat quality and also save money, make 3-component dishes as opposed to 7-component dishes. Right?
Yeah.
I love to sit down and plan out like a dinner and have 10 ingredients in there. But man, like, that's 10 different things I have to buy to make this salad, this 10-component salad versus like three things that go into it, and so to eat inexpensive, you're gonna reduce the amount of complexity of your dishes. So you might have 2 or 3 ingredients. That's why it's important to buy things like spices in bulk, things that can add a ton of flavor to some very simple dishes that you're gonna make. But man, I think it's completely possible, and it's something that when you take ownership of what you're putting in your food, you start to see where this stuff comes from. You start to think about what you're buying. You realize like where your money's going, right? It's like if you're eating out all the time, pay attention to your receipts. Tally it up at the end of the week, and then go to the grocery store and make the same stuff yourself. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit more time, and you're going to invest energy into the cooking process, and you're going to fumble and you're going to suck probably for the first couple months. But if you stick with it, you can start to make food that's just as good and nourishing, and at a fraction of the price.
Yeah, that's I think food elimination. We also talked about that. So in accordance with this, it's like while you are kind of putting together something that is like a cohesive list of things that you need to have good nutrition on a budget, it's like I think the food elimination can kind of go hand in hand with some of that, because if you start doing that, then you're also taking a look at some of the things that aren't working, some of the things that you can exclude that are a little more complex. So yeah, anything else on this note that you want to add?
No, I think I think getting again connected to your food through awareness of how it makes you feel, which will lead to you maybe experimenting with something like an elimination diet, or getting connected to your food and how much it costs. You know, what's the financial burden that it places on you? You know, this is all part of what we've talked about in the past about having a connection to what you eat beyond just like the instantaneous feeling you get when the taste buds are activated. Like, go past that.
Right.
You know, food is a big investment of your time and your body's energy. So treat it as such.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys.
Yep. See you guys next time. Gita, we are finished. We have finished recording. Text her right now. Just say we're done. We're done.
Oh, man.
We were about to text you.